Thank you very much, Chairman Isaacson, and to our ranking member, Senator Tester. I want to recognize all the VSOs here. It's an amazing turnout, and it shows how much you care about this nomination in this department, and I appreciate that. Dr. Shulkin, welcome. We had a chance to talk yesterday about what I think needs to be done to provide better care for all of our military families. And you know where I stand on a lot of things, from privatization to the urgent need to improve access to care. You also know that I believe the problems at VA are not always about money, but about the need for strong leadership. So I want to get right to my questions, since I know my time is limited here. Since I know the chairman does want to go to a game on Sunday, so I'll keep it short.
If Sunday's the deadline, it is limited.
Dr. Shulkin, I think Senator Blumenthal asked about this, but after a very long fight, Congress finally passed a bipartisan provision to give the VA legal authority to cover IVF for veterans and their spouses through fiscal year 2018. Despite some technical holdups, I've been assured that the VA will implement this consistent with the intent of that law, but I am very concerned that the Trump administration, in some reckless attempt to just reverse regulations, will prevent that from happening. So I wanted to ask you specifically, do I have your assurance, yes or no, that veterans and their spouses will have access to this service through fiscal year 2018?
Yes, it was an interim final rule on January 19th. Done.
Okay. And can I count on your continued support for access to IVF for those veterans?
Yes.
Great. Dr. Shulkin, President Trump last week issued a hiring freeze on federal workers, which does affect the agency you may lead, as well as more than 800 positions at VA facilities in my home state of Washington. Now, I know the VA has responded with some exemptions to try and make sure care is not compromised, but there are still open positions. Do you agree with the President's hiring freeze, which is now affecting those open positions at the VA?
Senator, the most important thing to me is that we have the resources to hire the people that we need to take care of our veterans, and we have requested that from the White House, and we have gotten that. So of the openings, we have 37,000 positions exempted right now that we are actively recruiting for and that we desperately want to fill. So I am very comfortable with where we are at this point.
Oh, okay. Well, are you going to make sure the President understands that this freeze is actually counterproductive at the VA?
Everything that we've asked for from the administration right now has been granted. So I feel comfortable that we have what we need. I do commit that if confirmed as Secretary, I would be a tireless advocate to ask the President for everything that we need to make sure that our veterans are getting both the health care and services that they deserve and that I'd be here to protect. Because if I'm Secretary, I'm going to have their back.
Okay, we'll hold you to that. I have heard from a lot of veterans in my state and across the country who are actually outraged by President Trump's executive order that unfairly banned refugees from Muslim-majority countries and created a religious test as to how federal agencies treat Americans, their families, and those seeking a better life here in the United States. I stand with them, and I believe what Republicans and President Trump are doing is un-American and unconstitutional. Can you assure me that as VA Secretary under this administration, that when pressed by President Trump to carry out an unconstitutional act, such as denying medical services and benefits or making a hiring decision based on race, ethnicity, or religion, that you will never withhold care or treat a veteran different as a result of their ethnicity or religion?
Senator, look, I very, very much value the way that this committee works, which is in a bipartisan way. Our total focus is on veterans. As Secretary of VA, if I'm confirmed, my sole focus is going to be on making sure that every veteran who has earned the right to be cared for as a veteran through VA gets that regardless of anything. And nothing will get in the way of giving a veteran the services that they deserve and the health care that they need and the other services. So that would be a commitment.
Including ethnicity and religion.
Veterans aren't religions and Democrats and Republicans. They all bleed red. And as far as I'm concerned, they're all the same. They all deserve the same exact access to services and health care.
Okay, well, President Trump also said that he is going to conduct a wide-scale investigation of voting issues pertaining to the recent presidential election, despite the fact there is no evidence of voter fraud. And now, as you know, veterans and service members are often registered in multiple states, which alone is, by the way, not a crime unless the individual actually votes in multiple states. I am very concerned that this misguided effort could lead to veterans and service members being stripped from voter rolls in every jurisdiction they are registered in, which is especially egregious given, of course, their service to our country. As Secretary, what are you going to do to make sure veterans, service members, and their families do not have their rights robbed by this process?
I do not know that the issue related to voters' rights and some of the things that you're describing are in the purview of the Secretary of VA, but certainly everything that is in the purview of the Secretary of the VA that I can do to advocate on behalf of veterans, I am going to make sure that I do.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, I hope that when you hear the President make a wide-scale whatever that he seems to be doing, that you remind him that veterans also are impacted by this. When he says that he's going to go after voter fraud across the country, as I said, many of our veterans and their families are registered by virtue of their service in several states. They're not voting in 2 different states or 3, but they are registered so they can participate as citizens. So I expect you to stand up and remind the President when he makes these broad, wide-range executive actions that veterans have to be thought about in that process. Yes. Thank you.